Welcome everyone to the Toku Portal podcast. It's me Zero here with
Cabe.
The Little King.
Rye.
And what is this again? I'm Slider.
Slider's back! Yay! If you don't remember him, he was with us for a little bit early on in Xaid, and then he kind of...
I got a job that makes me work Wednesday nights.
But he's back now.
For now.
Guess who's back? Back again.
So, seeing how three of us weren't around to discuss last week's episode, let's just do a quick recap.
Well, Rye, of course nobody was here. There was no episode last week.
2 weeks ago.
That's better. What happened 2 weeks ago in the show? I honestly
last episode, Nairobi began planning to have Bloodstark steal Pandora's box while all the three prime ministers were together to look at it, so that he could start a war to justify the rider system. He used a smash to lure Sento away, and then after Sento defeats the smash, the guy that it is was actually in on the plan, and before he kills himself, says, like, hey, Katsuragi is alive, by the way. And then Sento calls Banjo to warn him that the box is going to be stolen. Overall, last episode was a pretty good one, and really sets up this one nicely.
I like Lion Cleaner.
Oh, right, new form, Lion Cleaner. I don't get it. What's the match there? Like, there's always like a theme with the combinations. I'm not sure what Lion Cleaner is. Yeah. Like, Rabbit and Tank is, like, fast and slow. Gorilla Diamond is, like, heavy and durable.
I think you're reading too far into things. Just for what's coming up, I think you're reading too far into things.
I think it's just that, like, they use the vacuum side to, like, hold the opponent because the lion side just does an energy blast. I think that's the only reason.
So yeah, anything else to say about last week before we go into this week?
King, did you have anything to say on last episode?
Hated that it ended on a cliffhanger, but I had a lot of fun.
Alright, moving on to this episode. Number 10. The three prime ministers get together, they use their access cards to unlock the container for Pandora's box, and then Bloodstark just walks in and takes it.
Because what could be easier?
Who's gonna stop him, really? Banjo is going to try. He shows up, but Stark just creates another smash to distract him. During the escape, Naira confronts Stark about how he's deviating from the plan, and the two break out into a much-needed fight. It's been building up between them for a while now. Honestly, I gotta hand it to Banjo, actually showing up and being like, yeah, I don't care where I am, what's going on right now, I'm just gonna stop you from taking that box.
Yeah, well, one thing that was pretty interesting was that whole Guardians turning on the soldiers thing with Stark's magic snap. And then we pan over to Namba and he pretty much explains, yeah, we programmed that just for Faust. That was pretty good stuff. And I think Namba is quite a horrible person, but he's a good villain. Because pretty much at the end of his discussion with the... Oh crap, I forgot her name. Oh well. The reporter lady.
Okay, let's stop right there and go back to last week where we found out she's working with the bad guys.
He's basically like, oh yes, all of this is going to cause war, and it might force people to use the rider system, but whatever. He's just really a sociopath, kind of crazy old man.
Yeah, we found out she's working with the bad guys, so that's going to be interesting to see where it's going. We didn't see much of her this episode, though.
Sure, but what we got was good. And hey, sociopathic old men make great villains. Look at Kronos. But yeah, I mean, good prelude to what was to come. And hey, Ryuga's getting better at stealth. He was actually able to go in without any attention drawn to himself. Good on him. And hey, he tried.
I mean, he got in there. He punched a lot of people. Yeah.
Okay, so the problem is now Ryuga went in there. Okay, one, that was way too easy, and two, like if any of the cameras survives, like, oh, who broke in? Yeah, we'll just blame it on Ryuga because he's already a wanted criminal. I don't think the show's gonna do that, but they could. Um,
Keep
as
in
for like
mind
Sawa,
that
yeah, go
Gentoku's
ahead.
plan is to use the stolen box to start a war.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough, I suppose. Um, okay, yeah. When Sawa's talking to oh shit, whatever, the like CEO guy for the military corporation, that's kind of interesting because like she's saying all this and all he says is maybe. So I'm like, all right, okay, I might be just reading too much into it, and he might not be a crazy person. Because like we've seen crazy CEOs. That's sort of actually no, even like season 2 of Amazon that starts kind of being a little more questionable. But yeah, like the Amazon CEO is way crazier. But in this, it's like, all right, we built these robots, and they were basically a deterrent um, to stop people from fighting it, and people still came up like Faust and things. But then like I wonder what his like end plan is, because like maybe he thought that like, okay, we'll build these robots and then the other sides will see and convert to peace and we'll like have a unified Japan or something, but it doesn't seem like that's what it is. Okay. um but then like when the robots got taken over and stuff, and now so people are going to start using riders more, the rider system, so it's more like, okay, don't trust technology 100%. um rely more on humans or something. And then Sal's like, oh, isn't this great? It's going to your plan. It's going to lead to war. And it's like, and then he says maybe. So I'm like, maybe his plan isn't war. It's just like this weird necessity he thinks it is, because he wants to like reunify Japan, but he knows like a civil war is going to break out eventually. It might as well do it and use the rider systems to win and then like stabilize it. It's kind of like a weird like Kabuto style situation. I mean, here's the thing. Like that's if he's like a good-ish or like an anti-hero kind of character, but it's like one line. It could be I'm reading way too much into it, but that would be interesting. As for Ryuga breaking it, I'm like, okay, at least he got something to do, but like he breaks into a facility that is under attack, and like three of all three prime ministers are being held inside. Wouldn't you have like the best of the best special forces there trying to stop? It's just one of those lazy things the show does, where it's like, all right, to do the heroic or standard Kamen Rider thing, we have to get Banjo in there somehow. But then we kind of take this like ridiculous, like over the top leaf of like, yeah, these security guys, they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Also, it was nice to see that like the Guardian robots were used by the special forces. They put like two of them in front because they're robots. If they get shot, who cares? And the humans behind. But then the robots turn on them and like just pepper them down with bullets, but they don't die. So were they using non-lethal bullets? I'm like, that's interesting, sort of. At least that's what Josh noted. Um, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, that would be interesting. But then, like, after they get peppered, like, one of them kicks one and then stabs one of the ones that was down with like the bayonet thing. So yeah, I think maybe they just survived a bit, but then they got killed.
Yeah, it could be just that they didn't want to show blood because it's a kids show and like the the rating system's a lot harder than it used to be. Maybe, or maybe they're just badly coordinated and directed at that point. Who knows?
Yeah, because Faust finally starts racking up some bodies with Stark just poisoning people and them instantly disintegrating, I guess.
Yeah, so that's the one thing. Like Stark doesn't have a problem killing people. I'm like, okay, he's a villain. That makes sense. Also, when he's doing that, I'm like, holy shit, this is straight up like a fucking not O's, Fi scene right here. With like how Orphanok attack people, but he's kind of like Snake themed, so that also works.
The series has been taking some inspiration from Fi's.
I
I
still
mean,
haven't seen
like,
Five.
okay, yeah, like Drago mentions, like they're dropping like Fi's names for everything here and there. So like, I'm pretty sure this writer has at least watched Fi's, or maybe likes it the most because Fi's was also written by a drama writer, and then like as we've seen, the way they've gotten around the whole oh shit, Kamen Rider's kind of turned into a toy selling gimmick is to put your story everywhere outside the fights and get the fights done as quickly as possible. So basically, exactly what Fies does.
That's also been the problem with Build uh, for like half of these episodes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like they watched Fies and they're like, you know what? Fuck it. I can't figure out this writer shit. I'm just gonna do the Fies thing of like, all right, the writer shows up. There's like a 2 minute fight. It's done. Then the rest of the episode goes.
Fi's fights were still more interesting though.
I know, but like that's like back in the dude. We used to have night fights. They put LEDs on their suits instead of CGI. Like Fies is the days when we actually put effort into shit.
All right. So Banjo catches up to Stark and Rogue. He defeated the Smash. He just hadn't extracted the component. Uh, and he tries fighting them by himself, but can't. Then Sento shows up, and they team up together. And then now Banjo is able to hurt Stark, who confirms he's reached Hazard level 3, meaning now he has the potential to henshin. Uh, but Banjo and Sento are unfortunately defeated, and Stark takes off with Pandora's box. Rogue then begins stealing most of Sento's bottles, save a few. Banjo gives Sento his dragon bottle and takes back the lock bottle. So Sento henshins with them, and they're a best match. He's able to overpower Night Rogue, but then Night Rogue just runs away with the bottles anyways. This was actually a pretty good fight scene. We were just talking about how they haven't been too interesting in Build. This is really stepping up their game here. Also, I like that Sento didn't drop all of his bottles. Like, XA dropped every gashette whenever he fell over. I like that we have one rider here who's like, no, I need to hold on to some of them.
He seemed to lose all but like two.
Three. He held on to 3. Rabbit, Tank,
No.
and Lion.
Did he keep Lion?
Yeah, he was
had
using
to
his bike.
Some of the bike.
He was on his bike. In fact, later on, he still has bike. He still has Lion, rather.
Yeah. And then we'll get to that. But no, I'm actually really happy to see for now because that's not gonna last. But some out of suit fights from Ryuga. We know that's not gonna last, but for now, out of suit fights that's out of the norm.
Yeah, and I also thought it was pretty good progression on Ryuga's part that he's been fighting the Guardians and now he can finally beat up a Smash without even turning into a rider. So yeah, he's definitely earned his belt. and and I also like that Sento's gotten stronger as well because he pretty much defeats Night Rogue until he has to back up Ryuga. So that was nice to see too.
Anything, King? Or Slider?
I already said stuff about the non-transformed fight.
Shit, my bad. Got pulled away for a second. Yeah, I really liked the fight scene. I was a little confused about the bottles, but yeah, I guess he kept those three at least. Key Dragon, I absolutely love it. Looks so awesome. And I'm a Kingdom Hearts kid at heart, so that definitely helped. And Ryuga fighting, I'm a sucker for civilian fights, so whenever I see Ryuga fighting, I'm happy. And the fact that he was able to hold himself against Bloodstock, at least for a little bit, I thought was really cool. And he's finally reached the point of Rider, and I'm so happy for that. So yeah, I really like this.
Back to Key Dragon. Unfortunately, I don't think we're gonna be seeing very much Key Dragon, but because cause what is it? Whatever Z and it has to use a dragon and locks a promotional item in the toy line, which usually means that it'll get used very often.
I'll take what I can get.
Yeah, I have to agree with you guys. The fight was good. The only nitpick I have is like, I kind of don't like how they have already started using like, oh, here's the grunt smash, that like gun silver form thing that like Ryuga beat up and stuff. Like, I wish we didn't have to have that, but I'm like, whatever. If that's the only nitpick of the episode, then that's pretty good. Also, yeah, I mean, of course, the new form was effective using a Keyblade after against somebody powered by darkness. Like, of course.
Thank you.
On the topic of Key Dragon, I'm glad that they made a suit that they're only going to use like once or twice. Because in this era of Kamen Rider, they're doing a lot to save money. So the idea that they would make a one-off suit seems ridiculous. I'm glad that they're actually putting in the effort to do that. Kind of like with a Juju Burger and X8.
They seem to do one-off suits a lot. It seems like Ghost would have the one-off parkas. I don't know how much there was Juju Burger, yeah, and X8, and all the special suits. I don't think one-off suits are especially rare.
I'm just glad to see them.
Yeah, I'd be happy to see them. I just don't think they're rare.
Alright. So Stark, while running away, comes across his Smash and extracts the components while Sento catches up. The person asks Stark if he's Katsuragi, the supposedly dead demon scientist, but Stark denies it to him. Stark then kills the guy and changes the look of his face to someone else. I'm not entirely sure what his motives were for doing that, but maybe he was just trying to mess with Sento. Sento, still having his rabbit in tank bottles, chases Stark down. Sento questions Stark if he really is Katsuragi and what his motives are. Rogue sneaks up and takes out Sento and takes his rabbit, tank, and lock bottles. Surrounded by guardians, Stark gives back Pandora's box. Now, on the question of is Bloodstark Katsuragi, my theory, no. I'm still under the theory that Sento is Katsuragi, especially now that we've seen like the magic, how Bloodstark can just change the people's faces to something else. Uh, this kind of this kind of makes me feel like we know that we had that guy that saw Sento and went, "Hey, it's you," and he tried telling him what his life was like before he disappeared, and it's nothing like Sento is now. So what I'm thinking happened was they brought in some guy off the street, changed Katsuragi to look like him, changed that guy to look like Katsuragi, and then killed that guy to fake Katsuragi's death. And then they bring in Banjo and frame him for the murder. And that's kind of how that fits together.
Yeah. So, um, yeah, basically, Japanime and like some of the people on his channels or for the review for this episode were talking about that, and basically, yeah, I have to agree with theirs. Is basically instead of Sento killing Katsuragi, what if like Katsuragi killed Sento, or Sento ended up dying? They changed Sento's face to Katsuragi and Katsuragi's face to Sento's.
Yeah, that's basically what I'm saying here.
Yeah, pretty
It
much.
basically to hide Katsuragi because he was performing illegal human experimentation, so now he's going into
No.
hiding.
See, I think what happened is like Nitrog and Bloodstock had like a falling out with Katsuragi, and then like Nitrog's like, all right, we got to kill Katsuragi. And then Bloodstock probably had his own plan, so he's like, all right, I'm gonna fake Katsuragi's death, and then like put him like give him Sento's face, and then like I guess to cover up the fact that they did this body swap thing, he just put him into like the gas chamber, or maybe Nitro just found Sento and was like, all right, we'll just
Well,
use this asshole as an experiment, because like Bloodstark has no problem like doing all these experiments on people.
and
So like that's why he lost his memory. But so I still think the cafe owner is Stark,
same
but
here. I was
I
about to
think
say that next.
Katsuragi. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
Uh, yeah, pretty much Soichi. I'm pretty sure he's Bloodstark in that. I'm guessing that because he has his own motives here, he's just following like a plan for Katsuragi. Like Katsuragi planned out faking his death, maybe. And King came up with an interesting theory about how why he lost his memory. Like maybe to go into. Oh, you want to explain it, King?
Is that alright?
Go on.
Well, I picked it up from an old book series I was reading where the main character basically had implanted memories of the first 11 years of her life. Now, we've seen before that Katsuragi has all sorts of different methods of experimenting with the human body, obviously. And we've seen that memory loss is one of the side effects of those human experimentations. Now, who's to say that Sato, the first Sento, really is dead, and Katsuragi is Sento? And the one memory he has, the experimentation on him, is just an implant. The rest of it is exactly what it is, a side effect from the experimentation. Does that make any sense?
Oh, yeah, that would be interesting, because the other thing Japan anime was like, all right, maybe Suichi, when he broke in or tried to save Mizora, got to know Katsuragi and then decided to save him. So maybe they were working together, and he implanted fake memories into Katsuragi or Sento.
So I came in tonight convinced Takumi was Bloodstalk, and then this you guys keep talking about this. I'm like, it makes so much sense though.
Right.
I think I like this theory now better.
And the idea that Katsuragi is basically in hiding as Sento, it actually makes sense that he would want to have lost his memories so that he doesn't remember he's Katsuragi. He won't do anything that Katsuragi would do intentionally. So he won't give himself away.
The only way to sell the lie is if you're living it yourself.
Yeah, another thing that could add to Soichi possibly being Stark is that during his little chat with Sento, he calls him genius physicist. Why the hell would Stark know about that, like, self-proclaimed nickname?
Exactly. Plus, every time like Stark shows up, like Soichi just mysteriously disappears. Like we saw everyone in this episode except that guy, and Stark's been running around this whole episode. Plus, the thing is, like, yeah, Sento just mysteriously happens to break out of this insane prison and get to like Soichi's house. Like that's a little too convenient. Anyway, Slider, do you have anything to say?
No, except yeah, this makes so much sense.
All right. So at the lab, Misora discovers a wiretap. So a couple of us were discussing this before the podcast. Who do you think planted that? Because my best guess is that it was Sawa who planted it.
I'm with Sawa.
Yeah, I'm with Sawa.
Yep.
Slider?
Slider.
Cafe owner, whoever that is.
Soichi?
Yeah, it's his basement.
I mean, but why would he need to do that? He can just walk down there.
The Bloodstone Fairy.
Remotely monitor whatever's going on if he really is Bloodstall.
Vachi had a theory that Night Rogue had it planted there. I don't entirely agree with that.
Well, even if Night Rogue put it there, wanted it put there, I think he would ask the cafe owner to put it there if he was Bloodstall.
No, see, I think Bloodstark. If Suichi is Bloodstark and Bloodstark tends to do his own shit, I don't think like he would let Nitro get close enough to his base of operations. You know, because he always just shows up at like where Nitrogue is, and then he disappears. Like I don't think Nitrogue actually knows where the fuck like Bloodstark hangs out or anything. So I don't think he would plant it, especially because if Misura really is his daughter, because you know that explanation was a little fucking weird too. Um, or if he just broke her out of Faust's control and stuff. Like I don't think he would let Nitro get near her, because like the one advantage they have is they have bottles. Like he wouldn't just hand that over.
So another reason why I think that Sento is Katsuragi is because of Misora. Soichi sees how Misora is being treated and disagrees with it, breaks her out, and then goes and gets Sento, who then builds a machine that makes it easier for Misora to purify bottles. Seems a little too convenient if you ask me.
Yeah, that does make sense, because like the only person they know for sure who'd be able to help is the guy who made the system to begin with, right?
Right.
Yeah. That's a pretty good theory too. Watch, it's just gonna be something. I don't know, man. If it was one of the olden days, it'd be just like, no, it's this third character we've never seen.
God.
I think we've stopped doing that lately, but if that happens, that'd be so annoying.
I was telling all this to Vashi with the podcast, and he was telling me, like, I actually hope this is what it is. Alright, last note. Oh, go on. Do you have something to say?
Yeah, I was just gonna say I'm really fucking tired of red herrings in Rider, because like it kind of turns into the Gaim problem of we're just gonna throw so much, or Gaim and Drive, and we're just gonna throw so much shit in front of you or not explain enough, because then like we could do whatever the hell we want, and that's annoying.
There are a lot, yeah, but isn't it effective?
Okay, effective storytelling is getting from point A to point B and being satisfied, not throwing so much shade in front of it that like doesn't matter if you try to correct right. Okay, if you cannot determine the right answer with the clues you're given because they're blocking your path so much, that's not effective storytelling. That's just obscuring.
Point. It makes it more fun when you figure it out.
Yeah, I know. You have to, but like, here's the thing, right? In Gaim, they go on and on about like, oh, these are the Sengoku drivers, and the thing, and it's like, All right, so they were built for war or something, and all this other shit. And it's like, nah, like there's no way to know fucking Yggdrasil's plans until they talk to you about it because it's absolute bullshit.
So
Um, so
what
like, yeah, go ahead.
what Zero is trying to say is when the reveal is given, it should make you go, "Oh, that makes sense because of this, this, and this." If the reveal is given and you go, "Wait, what? That's just the answer?" Then that wasn't a good setup.
Yes, that's perfect. That explanation is exactly what I was trying to go for.
Fair enough.
Like it's kind of like how early on in Xaid when we were wondering who was Genom, who was the Black Xaid, and we were like, it seems like it might be Dan sometimes, but it also seems like it might be Parado sometimes. Graphite maybe. We couldn't figure it out, and it was like they try and make it seem like it was Dan all along, but it's like, what? Every time? Why? Whereas here we're coming up with theories about like how Sento might actually be Katsuragi, and even like before this episode we were theorizing that and going, yeah, that makes sense though. So if like that's what the reveal actually is, we're gonna go, hey, sweet, that's awesome.
Okay, that's a very valid point. I can see that.
Alright, the final note. Um, so Prime Minister Himuro, the he's the Prime Minister of the Toto region, has a heart attack. Uh, so on his way being carried into an ambulance, uh, he tells his son Gentoku, who if you don't remember is Night Rogue, that he's in charge while he is recovering in the hospital, which plays it's unexpected, but it plays perfectly into what Gentoku wants, because his father was the only one stopping him from militarizing Toto, and now he can just do it himself. He didn't even need to start a war. But I think he's going to anyways.
Yeah, stuff's about to happen.
Episode end. This was a great way to leave off this episode.
It really was.
Yeah, I love that twist because so much of the time the writers get caught up in, oh, the villains are so smart or the villains are so strong and the writer has to overcome it. But straight up, the villains getting a lucky break, that's not really something we see too often. So yeah, I really like that.
Um, yeah, I mean, it was a good twist. I'm very excited to see where it goes from this, because now we've essentially got yet another senior psychopath holding the reins. This is gonna be fun.
I don't know. I kind of wish to see the dad try and keep him power and the son fight against him and try to usurp him from other ways.
Yeah, that would have been interesting. I mean, this is a good way to go about it because we're reaching like Christmas episodes, and usually by that time something crazy happens in the first arc, either ends or like the first third of the show.
Like Kiria
So,
gets killed off.
oh god damn it! Yeah,
You
or
need to hit that wound again.
okay, he comes back.
I didn't like Kyria, so I don't. I didn't like Kyria, so I didn't.
Oh man.
Sorry, King. What were you saying?
6 freaking months later.
I didn't like Kyria, so I was happy.
Whatever. Okay, well, apparently, just watch a live concert or anything with those guys. I'm pretty sure, like, the entirety of the stadium disagrees with you, Slider.
I'm used to being disagreed with.
No, it's
like,
okay.
Forza sucks.
No,
Forza sucks.
Forza. I haven't watched Forza for
Oh, is this
Okay,
the
whatever.
wrong area to do that?
It's fine. I'm not. We're not getting into that. Um, but like, yeah, this was a good episode. I like that ending part. Couple things. All right, his father being taken out. Yeah, that was an interesting lucky break. The only thing I didn't like is like Gentoku's dumbass smile. I'm like, what would have been more interesting is if he's kind of more like really genuinely concerned about his dad, but then he slowly realized that
Well,
oh
that's what
shit, my dad is.
happened.
No,
What?
I know, but it like the acting there, I would have redirected that scene where it's like it seems more like he's putting on a face as opposed to like it should have taken a little bit longer. Like I would have just directed the scene a little bit longer. Um, where it's like okay, he's really concerned for his dad, and then like he slowly realizes he's gotten exactly what he needs. But I guess that's what exactly happened. It's just like I would have shot it a little different.
Cover time.
But the other thing is like how sorry, did you want to say something?
I just said like they probably just cut it for time.
Yeah, I know. It sucks. I don't like fucking Gentoku's meme face at the end. I'm like, come on, man. Like, if this was early Heisei, we wouldn't have done that.
But you can make so many memes out of it.
Oh, shut up. So, like, the meme lord thing was okay, but like, when you're having a serious moment, like, I don't need that shit. Um, because like the thing is like this is such like a Fies ish or yeah type episode, and I'm like, oh, it should be really serious. Um, But the other thing is like it was interesting that I think like Stark and Gentoku's assistant were playing a different game where it's like I think Stark pretending to run away with the box was just and shoot out the cameras just because he knows that Nitro's then gonna come after him. And that's all just to distract him. Like he didn't care about taking the Pandora's box. He just wanted to get Nitro away from like the security cameras. And that way like Gentoku's assistant could have done something to like Gentoku's father and like made him get a heart attack or something. Like it's possible. Like we have tech to change faces and turn people into monsters. I
I
think heart attack ain't too hard.
I did notice that the assistant seemed kind of like happy when the heart attack started, like he knew it was coming.
Yeah, I know. Like it seemed like him and Stark had a plan. That's why like he was in that like security bubble thing. Um yeah, so I think like Stark and him are playing a different game and then Gentoku's playing a different thing. So like it's gonna be interesting to see if like is Katsuragi is this part of his plan or is Stark just doing his own thing? Or is Gentoku doing their own thing? Like it's gonna be interesting to see. Or also the CEO guy, like he might not be 100% on like Nitro's side. Like he could be on Stark's side. We don't know, or he could just do his own thing. So it's gonna be interesting to see how it unfolds.
All right, with that, we can move on to final thoughts about this episode. This was a really good episode, and a really good example of how you can do exposition while still keeping things flowing. In fact, this episode was one of the most smoothest episodes of Build that has been in terms of how it flowed. I hope that like this is what they're going for going forward.
Yeah, I think one thing that especially helped was their use of their background music. This felt like a good episode of Blade with the way they used their background music. I really liked it. It just made the episode even better. And I'm looking forward to next week and maybe getting a new song for someone.
Yeah, it was a good addition to the mystery. I had a lot of fun with the fights. Oh no, I just had a lot of fun. And like Decade, I'm looking forward to the new music. Cross Dragon, here we come!
Uh, Interesting episode. I think in the grand scheme of things, a lot happened, but not a lot that interested me. I wanted to more of what happens after all this, not this exactly, but this had to happen first before we could see everything else. And next week, new writer.
Yeah, really solid episode. It looks like they've finally gotten their pacing and storytelling problems out of the way, and like I have to agree, this is probably the most solid episode of Build. Like it's a really good one. If the show can kind of keep this pace, I mean, it's gonna be hard to keep this pace because this is a really like setup episode, but they've done enough to keep the momentum going. Like, uh, especially because like we've done all the setup for the new writer. Once the new writer shows up, like then they can really start going because they don't have to fucking spend like 80% of the episode on Ryuga now. Like we can get 50-50, so it should be good to see how they go forward. And yeah, like Bill's gotten really good, so that's always good.
Thanks for joining us tonight, everyone. We'll be back next week on Tuesday with Uchu Sentai Q Ranger, and next Wednesday for more Kamen Rider Build. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Later, taters.
Yeah, thanks for joining us tonight. Sorry about the people in chat. Like I was totally not paying attention.
Oh, we had
My
people in
bad.
chat?
It's just Quintavious Lockhart, but I mean, we had like three
What is
people on,
chat?
so I don't know.
Hi,
One of them-
Quinn Davis.
I have no idea who you are. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, we have someone who watches us. Can you believe it?
No, I can't.
I know, right? So sorry about that, you guys. I'll try to do maybe better next time. Who knows? Okay, until next time.
Bye, Quinn.
What?